Good morning, brothers and sisters. I have a very important message for the people of Ghana and Africa as well. Everybody in Africa right now is crying for development. Everybody in Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Senegal, Cameroon, Ivory Coast, Burkina Faso, Africa in general is crying for development. They are crying for better lives. They are crying for the well-being of Africa, which will go in a long way to affect their lives in a positive way. But at the same time, we have some African leaders in front of us, just like Kwame Nkrumah was saying. We have some African leaders at the national front. They pretend as if they are working. They pretend as if all their actions are in the interest of the general public. Meanwhile, they themselves are the colonial masters in a different cloth. They themselves are the colonial masters in a different cloth. You see what I'm saying? So today's topic, I'm just going to use some few minutes. I have so many of these coming out, but I'm going to use some few minutes to expose what is actually going on with some of the African leaders. And at this time, his name is Patrick Lumumba. This is the man that we're going to talk about today. Patrick Lumumba. He is a lawyer in Kenya. A time is coming that we're going to go deep. We're going to go deep into how we are being deceived by our own so-called African leaders. It's very, very important for us to know what is going on. And these African leaders at the national fronts, they create confusion. They create confusion in their countries, in the minds of the people. They make people confused for their own personal interest. Meanwhile, they pretend as if they are your gods, that you worship, you serve them everywhere that you see them. But one of the most interesting thing about them is that they are all lawyers. All the top African corrupt officials. They try to be lawyers so that they can use their fake laws. They can use their fake laws to control you. All of them are lawyers. Most of the presidents in Africa, all of them are lawyers. For example, I'm starting from Ghana. Akufo-Addo, President Akufo-Addo is a lawyer. You see what I'm saying? Former president in Ghana, Akufo, is also a lawyer. All of them, all the corrupt officials in Africa, they are all trying to be lawyers so that they can deceive you. They can put fear and panic in you with their so-called law. I've always been telling people, not only Africans, all the people that I have come across, there is the need for us to get back to nature. There is the need for us to get back to nature. That is where we will get the love. And in this world in particular, this whole earth that we live on, there can never be peace on this earth unless, first of all, we get back to nature. And then on top of that, there can never be peace on this earth unless we see the unity and the well-being of the motherland, that is Africa. You see what I'm saying? There is no peace at home. When our mothers don't have peace, it means there is no peace. The children suffer when there is no peace for the mother. And in Africa being the motherland, There can never be a peace on this earth without first of all ensuring the unity of Africa. I have been telling some of these leaders before. I remember I saw some of them when I was in Virginia. I used to make a couple trips to DC. I have been telling some of them, there can never be peace. There is no peace in nuclear weapons. There is no peace trying to build guns and all of that to be able to kill others so that you'll be able to control them. There is peace in nature. And on top of that, there can be a better place on this earth for us if we see the unity of Africa and the well-being of the motherland. We have our national leaders. A typical example is Patrick Lumumba. He is a tough, one of the very top guys. He is very excellent in mind games. He is very, very, very excellent in mind games. That is how they portray themselves as true lovers to their own people. Meanwhile, they are the marketers. They are selling Africa themselves with their so-called law degrees. See what I'm saying? Let us see a couple videos here, and then we will go ahead and analyze. We all know that in the ancient of days, religion came to colonize and destroy Africa. Religion came. The agenda was built from Rome. That is the deep agenda. It was a stolen legacy from Egypt, and it was polluted and brought back to us in so many religions. The Arabians brought Islam, and the so-called Europeans also brought Christianity to divide and conquer Africa. You see what I'm saying? Now, this same weapon that our African leaders who are claiming have love for us are using to destroy the people of Africa. But the people don't know, and it's my responsibility at this point in time to let everybody know what is going on. And some of the best leaders already told us what is going to happen. They already told us ahead of time the effects of religion, especially Christianity and Islam, on Africa. But these so-called African leaders of today, claiming they are the most educated, bringing out all the so-called big-time vocabularies outside, just to scare you by speaking so-called big words, just to put fear and panic in the people of Africa, because they think we are not educated enough in terms of the European knowledge. You see what I'm saying? So they try to speak out all the big words, the vocabs, to deceive you by putting fear and panic in you guys. But at this point, they are the same guys selling religion to us. Meanwhile, upon all their law schools and whatever books that they have been reading, I am very sure that they have been also been able to read the Bible as well. And if that is the case, then it is very clear that they know what is secretly inside the Bible, that the Bible itself is a messianic tool that has the hidden codes of nature. But why are they not telling us the hidden secrets in the Bible instead of preaching the stories to us for their own personal interest in politics? To trick, politics is politics, to trick and control the people of Africa. I was very happy seeing this professor in particular talking about the fact that Africa is on a dinner table. But it was all mind games. It's a sellout. They put the fear and panic in the people of Africa so that the people will realize that Africa is being torn apart. Africa is being destroyed by foreigners from Europe, from China, from Asia and America. You see what I'm saying? But these same people, or our so-called leaders, they themselves are selling us into the graves of our enemies. Our enemies already have the graves for us. You see what I'm saying? For instance, how the Russian president was saying Africa is a cemetery. Our enemies already prepare a grave for Africa. But our leaders are selling us to our enemies so that we will be able to get into the graves. Let us see this video right here. How they've been able to go to school. They know how to read. They know how to analyze. They understand the concept of reading and comprehension. But at the same time, they are the same people forcing religion on their people. Because of what? Mind games, tricks. Let us see something here. This is the man that I'm talking about. Yeah. I've not been able to put all my videos in a slice, but because of time. But I think it's all good.
Will you, like Samuel, be impressed by the bodily stature of Eliab? Or you will hear the divine voice saying, but there is another one in the field who is after my heart. Another one.
This hand sign is one of the Illuminati hand signs. Just to let you know. Alright, it's a sellout. It's one of the hand signs for the sellouts. They are selling Africans.
In the field, who is after my heart? Will you who are sitting here today as Christians, on the 8th day as Christians, sitting here today as Christians, on the 8th day of August, when you are called upon to vote, will you remember all the day of August, when you are called upon to vote, will you remember
the voting system that he is talking about? He already knows that the vote of the people doesn't count. The vote is all, the elections that is been going on is all kind of games. They already know who is going to be the next president. You see what I'm saying? Because they've given them their agenda. But they try to, put some elections out just to waste your time and, just to find out how busy you are trying to elect somebody to lead you. See what I'm saying? But the whole election thing, your vote doesn't count. The whole election thing is a mind game.
Day of August, when you are called upon to vote, will you remember that sometimes before the birth of Christ, as recorded in the book of Numbers, there was a man anointed of God, the man called Moses, and that there was rebellion against him by Korah and Dathan and 250 others from the house of Levi and Reuben, and that God consumed 14,700 of them. Will you rebel?
And God killed 14,700 people. That is what he is talking about. And they said that God is love. God killed 14,000. God consumed. It means God killed
14,700 of them. consumed 14,000 Reuben, and that God consumed 14,700 of them? Will you rebel against the truth? Will you who are seated here give meaning to the reading that we have heard from Chronicles, where God speaks to...
So this same African leader who is preaching about Jesus and Christianity in the church, telling people about how God killed innocent 14,700 people in Numbers chapter 16 in the Bible, is also telling us in another video that Africa is being destroyed by the Europeans. But the question is, who brought the religion that he is preaching to the people in Africa? Are they not saying that the Europeans brought religion to Africa? You see what I'm saying? He is saying that Africa is being destroyed by the Europeans.
I've prepared 2 papers which I believe will be circulated because they'll not be projected. But if you can see, first of all, I want to agree with the Honorable Minister. I've done 2 pictorials. One of them is described as Africa at the dinner table. And if you look at Africa at the dinner table, Africa is on a plate and it is meat. And the diners at the dinner table are France, the United Kingdom, the United States, the European Union, the Chinese, and progressively the Arabs. And my second picture is the African hotspots. It's not visible from there. But if you look at Africa today and you make a clean sweep with your mind, there are different conflicts of different intensity in Somalia, in northern Mauritania, in northern Mali, in Central African Republic, Democratic Republic of Congo, Guinea-Bissau, in the Cameroons, in South Sudan, and one can go on and on. And there is a sense in which Africa has always been alive to the question of interference. I will refer this audience, particularly those who are starting, to take time and read the 32 odd speeches that were made in the month of May 1963 by the then heads of states and government of independent African states, the 32 of them. And there are 2 speeches that I want to isolate for this presentation. One was by David Dacko of Central African Republic. And in thanking Emperor Haile Selassie and Kwame Nkrumah on that day, he said that we must never forget that the colonial power has not left us. We must recognize that he did not go willingly. And if we don't check them, they'll come back again. And what would little Central African Republic do against them? Today, he is right. Today, if we remember the activities of France and how they have propped up the regime of Jean Bedel Bokassa, he was right. Today, as the Honorable Minister has indicated, Africa remains the only...
So the professor is telling us that Kwame Nkrumah and other heads of states gave a warning that the colonial masters didn't leave Africa willingly. They left unwillingly. So Africans gotta unite. In the absence of religion, that is exactly what Kwame Nkrumah was saying. Kwame Nkrumah wanted the unity of Africa in the absence of religion. And now this professor is telling us what Kwame Nkrumah was saying was right. But if if what Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was saying is right, then why is it that he himself is preaching religion in the church to innocent people? Have you seen what is going on? He is saying that Kwame Nkrumah is right because Kwame Nkrumah made a comment that Africa need unity. That is why Nkrumah built Africa Unity in Kumasi. Africa need unity in the absence of religion, because Nkrumah called all the religious gods Kankanyame. You see what I'm saying? But look, he said Nkrumah is right.
That he said that we must never forget that the colonial power has not left us. We must recognize.
And the colonial power came with a religion. Colonial power, the backing of the colonial master that we see, the backing of the colonial regime or the colonial masters that we see today is through the Freemasonry and the religion that we see in Africa. And if this professor is saying that the colonial masters didn't leave Africa peacefully, it means they will come back again for a revenge. And that revenge is what we see today in the religious mind games. So if this particular Professor Patrick Lumumba is trying to tell the people of Africa that what Kwame Nkrumah was saying is right, then it means he shouldn't, if he is following the 4 steps of the honest leaders by that time, then he should know for a fact that preaching religion to innocent people in the church is absolutely useless.
That he did not go willingly. And if we don't check them, they'll come back again. And what would little Central African Republic do against them? Today, he is right. Today, if we remember the activities of France and how they have propped up the regime of Jean Bedel Bokassa.
You see what I'm saying? So this professor is telling us Nkrumah was right and the other African leaders who hated religion were right. And if he is following them, then why is he preaching in the church? Why is he preaching Jesus in the church? Why?
And 250 others from the people of Christ, that sometimes before the birth of Christ, as recorded in the book of Numbers, there was a man anointed of God, the man called Moses, and that there was rebellion against him by Korah and Dathan.
So I just want to cut it short here. So what is going on is we have our African so-called leaders, and they themselves are our enemies. They are selling us. You see how if you watch only one of their videos, you don't see how they are deceiving you until you try to go through their works as well. Then you will see how they are deceiving you. You see what I'm saying? I have my own ways and means of finding out who is lying to us, who is killing us. You see what I'm saying? And at the same time, I can also go through their works and I know what they are actually doing so that I'll be able to prove to you. Now, the prophets became the prophets that you see in the Bible, became professor. See what I'm saying? Now, the prophet or the professor is saying that Kwame Nkrumah and other African leaders were right. You see what I'm saying? They were right because they didn't like the oppressor's rule. And one of the characteristics of the oppressor's rule was through religion. The fear of religion. Religious fears. So I'm saying, if And he said, all those African leaders were right. But if they were right, and they are still right today, why is it that Prophet or Professor Lumumba is preaching about Jesus in the church to innocent people? Meanwhile, he himself knows for a fact that Jesus is a representation of the 33-degree Freemasons. Jesus is the representation of the 33-degree Freemasons. And I'm sure, being a professor, at least he's been able to read the Bible, at least for once. And he should know that it is written somewhere in the Bible that no Jesus is coming. It is written in the Bible. Luke chapter 17, verse 20 to 21, that no Jesus is coming, and Jesus is a lie. Representation of the 33-degree Freemason. You see what I'm saying? So this calls for a greater wisdom in the knowledge of the natural principle for all of us to open our eyes very wide. Let us open our eyes to scrutinize through whatever is put before our face on the televisions. Television means lie vision. They are, most of the time, they are telling you lies. Lie vision. You see what I'm saying? So we have to be very careful. Our own African leaders are selling us to the Europeans. Our own African leaders are selling us to our enemies, to the Chinese, to the Arabs. You see how our Islamic religious leaders are selling us to the Arabians. The same way our Christian leaders are selling us to the Romans. Our politicians of late are selling us to the Chinese. You see what I'm saying? So let us open our eyes very wide. That is the message that I have for you all. The prophet or the professor tries to speak big or great vocabularies to be able to put fears and panic in the people of Africa. But in reality, he knows nothing. So I have a word for him today. And he should also try to articulate his superficial sentimentality. I love you all.